everyone, it's Leah. I am here with the first video in our series for this Make This With Me Reclaimed book mini album. So today we are going to gut a book, and I'm going to preface this by saying, last things first. My mom always said that. You do your last things first, first things last. I'm gonna say, please don't gut your book until you're ready to build your book. You don't want to have it lose shape. For now, I'm going to keep the stuffing in the book. Like after I take the book apart, I'm going to put it back together and just keep it all together so that it doesn't get misshapen. Yeah, so the first thing I do when I look for a book to do a mini album is I look and I see, well, what I think about what I'm going to make. And because I want to add a lot of signatures and a lot of space to put chipboard embellishments, I need a bigger spine. So I look and I see how big the book is. So this book, and I showed you the measurements before in the last video, but I'll do it again. This book is approximately 6 1/4 by 9 1/4. So that's plenty of space if you're using a 5x7 envelope. This is an envelope for a 5x7 card. So because this is my go-to size to make my mini albums with, I generally look for a book that's at least 6 wide by at least 8 tall or 9 tall. So you can see here, and I don't put, you'll see when we go to put our book in, our pages inside the book, I bring my, it's so hard to see, but I bring my envelopes down really low so that the, wow, Leah, your words today. So the inserts don't stick up past the top. And I'll show you here. This is my my mini for Christmas. You can see it's the exact same size. And you can see nothing sticks up past there. And it also doesn't come out past here because it's at least 6 wide. Okay, so yeah, that's really important to me, is how big the book is and how wide the spine is. So the spine on this one, this book is over 1 inch thick. It's more than 1 1/4 inches, okay? I know that, like, doing my math, if I put 1/4 inch between each of my signatures in my page, and the signature is the group of pages that are gonna be inserted, if I have 4 pages, between each of those is going to be 3 signatures, plus, I mean, 3/4 inch spaces. So right there, I'm already at 3/4 of an inch. I generally prefer 1/2 inch. I like that space. So if I'm going to do 3 signatures in there, already I'm at 1.5 inches. So, I mean, I can probably fit, if I do 4 signatures in this space, I know that if I butt the first one up against here and the last one up against there, but when I glue my pages in, I'll have plenty of space to have a 5 inch. However, I am going to make, I'm going to make 2 different sizes to see which one I prefer to use. When I am making my binding, which we are not going to do I know I use the Hidden Hinge binding system a lot, but we're not going to do that. But in general, when I make my binding, I do 2 sizes because I'm not ever sure how much embellishing I'm going to want to do. It doesn't bother me to make it 2 of them. And it's always good to have one kind of just laying around just in case you need it. So the next thing I do is I check to see if the book looks big enough. I check to see what color the actual book is. I have a lot of different books laying around, and I'll show you a few. Of different sizes. So I have this one. It's a little bit smaller, but I can still fit the pages inside there. And this one has a gray cover, and I ruined it. And I've learned my lesson, and I have changed the way that I do my books based on the fact that I ruined this cover. If you look, I put a hole straight through there because of the angle that I was cutting at. I was laying my books down and cutting like this, and I don't do it that way anymore. I made a giant hole. It's huge. So now I'm just going to use this one. I'm going to take it apart and just use the chipboard cover and make a spine. But yeah, that was a thing. I also have this book that I had lying around. I read it and I'm done with it. Generally, when I read a book, I'm pretty much done with it. Like, unless it's like a collectible like Harry Potter or something. This one's a little narrower. So I can use 1/4 inch and I can do 2 signatures in there, or if I cram them in, I can do 3 signatures in an 1/8 inch, but you can't get really much more into the book once you start doing that. So I might like take this out and then do a book that folds out from the covers and then closes up. So there's lots of different ways to do these books, guys. You don't have to just do them the way I'm showing you. I have larger ones. Oops, sorry, my lighting. I have really large ones that I can kind of create. Oh wow, what did I do? Did I hit the camera? Oh, my bad. That I can create enormous gatefold style albums where the gates go this way, or I can put a ridiculous amount of single signatures in here, maybe do like 6 or 8 signatures across here with a 1/4 inch, and do a very simple thing where I just have an envelope and then a flip up or a flip out, and it'll stay nice and it'll fit really nicely. And I did consider using this. I might actually be using this one for a book that I'm doing for my brother. That's very exciting. Yeah, so let's get back to it. So here's what happened. So I was cutting a book once, and I showed you that I took the book and I laid it down like this, and I thought I could handle cutting with my blade this way. And that is not a thing I could do, apparently. I'm not very good at that. It took some time, and I really thought through the technique that I was using to cut my books open. And what I found works best is standing your book up and cutting like this. So, I mean, for our purposes, I'm gonna like kind of tip it. But in general, I'm gonna say the first thing we're gonna do is stand your book up and flex your spine open. Carefully. Now I just cracked my spine. And then you do it on the other side. And what you want to do is just break the fibers up at the corners here so that it's easier to get your blade in between here. Okay, so you really want to, like, you can see how I'm pushing like this, and that separates. You can see there's like a bit of space there. I just made that space where it wasn't before. You can see how stiff it is on the side. It's not there. Right there. And now if I push my pages, if I carefully push my cover back, you roll it under your thumbs, you can hear the paper breaking. There's a very strong glue in these books, guys, holding this cover together, which is how you want your book to go together. You don't want to use, you know, cheap glue to put your book spine in. I generally use Mod Podge to put my spine in, and I'll show you how I do that later. Okay, so now that I've got this kind of separate, I'm gonna cut into my book. Oh, this one's not really. We gotta really get this separate, because you really don't want, there we go. You really don't want to cut through your book. It's like the worst ever. Okay. Depending on your handedness, put the bigger side of the book towards your hand. So if you're right-handed, put the book towards your right. If you're left-handed, put the book towards your left. Now when we make our cut, we are not gonna cut back to, hold on, here. You want to cut in here, right where you see where the paper meets the, tip the page, you see where the seam, where the bend is. That's where we're going to make our cut. Okay, so make sure your blade is nice and sharp. You take your knife, whatever, if it's like this pointed one, or I have a square one I use sometimes, okay? You want to just make a little incision just to get yourself started. Okay, very carefully. You see how I did not put the whole blade like this, and I didn't just do the tip because I didn't want it to slip. I got like about maybe 1/4 of a way through the blade. Okay, you want to be careful. You see the inside of my book. I can see, as I'm looking, I can see down that, wow, I already like ripped that. I can see down the page, and I can see that I didn't hit. You don't want to be so far in. You want to stay very close. You can see that you can use this little fabric thing as a guide. Okay, oh, do we have enough light? Okay, there we go. All right, I'm gonna tip the book back so y'all can see. Hopefully this works right, okay? And you're gonna carefully and slowly lean your blade against this book part, tip your blade, get just the tip in there. Oops. It's easier if you go in one stroke. And you're gonna cut just along the book. Okay, you don't want to be laying down. It really, I've learned my lesson 1,000 times. Like, it's so bad. I can't tell you how many times I've cut a book before finally I was like, all right, Leah, that's enough. Okay, because you can see how I'm getting in there. Okay, I'm not in like this, I'm right along the book. Like that, okay? Literally leaning against the pages. Okay, and again, holding your book up. I suggest doing it upright. It's a little easier to see, but at this angle isn't bad either. But it's just a little easier because you can see down the book and know that you're not cutting into your spine. And get your finger in there. Wedge your finger in there to keep the book apart from the blade and away from the blade. Okay, there we go. Got one side done. Now, I want you to see that I've left this little bit of book in here. I used to do it much closer, and I found that a lot of times the book is glued very well against here, so it's just easier to leave this, and this part you're going to cover with decorative paper or washi or whatever it is you want to do. And for a lot of people, depending on the spine that you do, you're going to want to glue your spine directly to your hinge. Sorry, you're going to want to glue your hinge directly to your spine, so that would also cover. Just make sure that anything that you do around here wraps around and comes down fairly far, like maybe about 1 inch or so into the spine, so that you can really make sure that it's covered. Because your hinge is only going to be about 7 inches tall. It's not going to be bigger than your, or a little over 7. It's not going to be very much bigger than your envelope. Okay, so we're going to do the other side. Now, when I do the second side, I pull the book away and I tilt it, and then again, I just get a little starter in there, and bam, right against the book. And this is harder. So you really want to be very careful. Okay, I'm actually like looking sideways at it. Like I'm not, like I have it almost straight up and down, and I'm looking like directly straight at my book so I can see where I am. And I'm looking through and I'm pulling, guys, I'm pulling this book away because I don't want to stab it and I don't want to cut into it. Okay, and you want to try and cut as straight as you can. My blade's not terribly sharp, so I'm getting a lot of furring of the page. Okay. This last bit, really lift this, get that out of the way. Make sure you're against the book. And that's it. We did it, guys. It's gutted. It has no holes. It's beautiful. Very pleased with how it came out. Okay. Now you can see it's already starting to like buckle and bend and get rounded. And we don't want that. We don't want a round book, unless you want a round book. I mean, if you want to, it's easier to glue your spine in if your book stays straight. So again, this is one of the things you're going to probably want to do last. And I don't suggest decorating your cover until you're done with your book. But that's tricky. What I really mean is you don't want to put any embellishments on the cover before you're finished with your book, because it makes it harder to glue your hinge into the book. So that's it, guys. We gutted the book, and the next video about building the book will more than likely be the pages, and I'm going to also do the hinge separate from the pages, just so that I don't have to repeat myself over and over again every time I make a book. I'll just post a link in the video, and you can go in new videos, and you can just click on it and go back to how to do the hinge that I did for this book. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back together carefully, and I'm really going to push it up against there, and I'm going to store this away with the dust cover on, because, oh, help me, I bought a white book. It's going to look so cool, but it's so white. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. You have a great day. Go out, look for a book around your house. This one I got at the dollar store, but look around and see what books you have that you're not using. Upcycle first. You know, upcycle what you have before you go out and spend money and purchase, because I'm certain some you guys have books in your home that you're not using. All right, take care. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.